Hello, friends. Welcome to your evening story from Porter Square Books. I'm Shana. Unfortunately, Stacy could not make it tonight. She's not feeling great, so your Shirley Jackson fix will have to wait. Everyone, let's hope she feels better. Tonight, I'm going to be reading to you from one of my favorite books, Middlegame by Shana McGuire. Shana McGuire is one of my favorite writers, and I am excited to share this with you. All right, so let's get started. Book 7, The End. I swear this is the beginning of the book. It just starts that way. They say there is divinity in odd numbers, either in nativity, chance, or death. William Shakespeare, The Merry Wives of Windsor. It doesn't matter how beautiful your theory is. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If it doesn't agree with experiment, it's wrong. Richard Feynman. Failure. Timeline, 5 minutes too late, 30 seconds from the end of the world. There is so much blood. Roger didn't know there was this much blood in the human body. It seems impossible, ridiculous, a profligate waste of something that should be precious and rare, and most importantly, contained. This blood belongs inside the body where it began, and yet here it is, and here he is, and everything is going so wrong. Dodger isn't dead yet, despite the blood, despite everything. Her chest rises and falls in tiny hitches, barely visible to the eye, each breath a clear struggle, but she keeps fighting for the next one. She's still bleeding. She's still breathing. She's not going to bleed for long. She doesn't, no pun intended, have it in her. And when she stops breathing, so does he. If Dodger were awake, she'd happily tell him how much of her blood is on the floor. She looks at the mess around them. She'd calculate the surface area and the volume of the liquid as easily as taking a breath, and she'd turn it into a concrete number, something accurate to the quarter ounce. She'd think she was being comforting, even if the number she came up with meant, "I'm leaving you," even if it meant, "There is no coming back from this," even if it meant goodbye. Maybe it would be comforting to her. The math would be true, and that's all she's ever asked for from the world. He knows the words that apply to this situation: exsanguination, hypovolemia, hemorrhage, but they don't reassure him the way the numbers reassure her. They never have. Numbers are simple, obedient things, as long as you understand the rules they live by. Words are trickier. They twist and bite and require too much attention. He has to think to change the world. His sister just does it. Not without consequences. That's how they wound up here, on the other side of the garden wall, at the end of the impossible road, at the end of everything. They never got to the impossible city, and now they never will. The King of Cups wins again. The King of Cups always wins. Anyone who tries to say he doesn't is lying. The gunfire from outside is louder and less dramatic than he expected, like the sound of someone setting off firecrackers inside a tin can. Firecrackers never did this sort of damage. The walls are thin and getting thinner. The bullets are chewing the concrete away, and the people who followed them down the improbable road will be inside soon. Erin can't hold them off forever, no matter how hard she tries. Dimly, he realizes he doesn't want her to hold them off forever. If this is where it ends for one of them, let it be where it ends for all of them. Let this be where it ends for good. No one, not even him, walks the improbable road alone. He grasps Dodger's shoulder, feeling the solidity of her, the vital, concrete reality of her, and shakes as gently as he can. "Dodger! Hey, Dodge! Hey, I need you to wake up. I need you to help me stop the bleeding." Her eyes stay closed. Her chest rises and falls, her breathing getting shallower all the time. There's so much blood. He knows the words: shock, fatality, the brutally simple, brutally accurate death. She's leaving him again, forever this time. Going, gone. Don't do this to me. His own injuries aren't as bad as hers. He took a single bullet to the upper thigh earlier in the battle. It was through and through, missing the major arteries, and Dodger was still alert enough to help him with the tourniquet. There's still a chance he could lose the leg if he doesn't get proper medical attention soon. Right now, that doesn't seem important. Maybe he's in shock too. Maybe he deserves to be. You can't. You can't go. We've come too far. Are you listening? You can't go. I need you. Her eyes are closed. There's so much blood. There's one thing he can do. Maybe the only thing. Maybe it was always the only thing, and they've been building toward this the whole time. It feels like failure, like running back to the garden, and he doesn't care because her chest is barely moving and there's so much blood. There's so much blood. And it doesn't matter that he knows the words, all the words, for everything. The numbers are taking her away. He can't reach them without her. I can't do this alone. I'm sorry. I can't. He leans in until his lips brush the seashell curve of her ear. There's blood in her hair, turning it tacky and clinging. It sticks to his skin, and he doesn't try to wipe it off. Dodger, he whispers, don't die. This is an order. This is a command. This is an adjuration. Do whatever you have to do. Break whatever you have to break. But don't you die. This is an order. This is her eyes opening, pupils reduced to black pinpricks against the gray of her irises, until she looks like she's suffered a massive opiate overdose. This is gold sparkling in the gray, brief and bright as the impossible city tries to call her home. He feels the gold in his own bones respond, reaching for the gold in Dodger's, yearning to reunite. This is the sound of gunfire going silent, not tapering off, just stopping, like the world has been muted. This is the world going white. This is the end. We got it wrong, we got it wrong, we got it wrong, we got it wrong, In the same ordinary town, on the same ordinary street, lived two ordinary children who had never quite managed to cross paths. This, too, was sadly ordinary, for the line that divided the students who went to the school on the west side of town from the students who went to the school on the east side of town ran right down the middle of their block, an invisible barrier that had split them in two before they were old enough to notice. Every morning they got out of bed, put on their clothes, kissed their parents goodbye, and walked off down their ordinary street through their ordinary town in two ordinary opposite directions. The two children were very much alike and very different at the same time, as children so often are. One was named Hepzibah because her parents had a language and an eccentric way of looking at the world. They called her Zib, understanding that Hepzibah was more name than she had shadow. Every day they watched for signs that she was growing into her name, and every day they were disappointed. Soon, they promised each other, soon. The other was named Avery because his parents had a sharp and efficient way of looking at the world. They called him Avery when they were happy, and Avery Alexander Gray when they were mad, and gave him no nicknames. Nicknames were for people whose names didn't fit them properly, and they had measured him every inch before they named him. We did well, they reassured each other. We did. And these are our two children, ordinary, average, wildly unique, as all children are. Our story begins on an ordinary, average day, a day which had never happened before, and would never, in all the length and breadth of time, happen again. From Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker. The doctrine of ethos, as described by Pythagoras, held that certain musical instruments and modes could influence the balance between logos, rational behavior, and pathos, emotional thought. Later alchemists came to see this as the interaction between the two halves of the human heart, and more as the balance between language and mathematics, the two methods through which man has always been able to influence and even command nature. The doctrine must thus be viewed as the most dangerous and most desirable of alchemical incarnations. The people who are first able to seize control over the doctrine shall command all things. Ladies and gentlemen of the Alchemical Congress, you know what I am capable of. You have seen my masterwork, spoken to the proof of my mastery, and I believe I am prepared to incarnate the doctrine if you are prepared to let me try. Addressed by Asphodel D. Baker to the American Alchemical Congress, 1901. Book 0. The Beginning. Medicine rests upon 4 pillars: philosophy, astronomy, alchemy, and ethics. Paracelsus. Paracelsus? Time is the substance from which I am made. George Louis Borges, whose name I think I just butchered. I am sorry about both of those. Genesis. Timeline 1114 CST, October 31st, 1886. The air is heavy with the crackle of electricity, with the taste of ozone and mercury and the burning tang of alkahest, the universal solvent, which has a nasty tendency to consume everything in its path unless properly contained, making it a complicated process. Making it is a complicated process. Destroying it is even more difficult. Still, a few drops of the thing can go a long way towards making the supposedly impossible happen. Even death, it seems, can be dissolved. The woman who calls herself Asphodel walks a slow circle around the table, studying her handiwork for flaws. She finds none, but still she circles, restless as a shark, unwilling to commit to the final stages of her task until she is certain. Certainty is a requirement of her profession, a bone-deep, rock-solid certainty that her will is strong enough and her desires are clear enough to remake the world in her own image. She isn't the greatest alchemist of her age yet, but she's going to be. There's absolutely no question in her mind of that. If she has to drag those fools in the Congress kicking and screaming into the bright and beautiful future she can see unfolding ahead of her, she'll do it. And she won't be sorry. If they didn't want to follow her, they should have had the sense to get the hell out of her way. Asphodel Baker is 21 years old, 13 years away from the publication of the book that will cement her legacy in the hearts and minds of children everywhere, 23 years from her disappearance and death. And she can no more conceive of failure than a butterfly can conceive of calculus. She's going to change the world, remake it in a better image than the one it's made in now, and no one's going to stop her. Not her parents, and not her teachers, and certainly not the Alchemical Congress. This is her chance to show them all. Asphodel stops circling and reaches for the bowl she has prepared, its contents glowing glittering gold and mercury bright. Dipping her fingers into it, she begins drawing runes down the chest of the flawless body that lies before her, skin naked to the air. He is a gorgeous man. Time and care and access to several morgues operated by hungry, unscrupulous vermin have seen to that. She has purchased each piece of him according to her precise specifications. Thanks to the alkahest, there aren't even any scars. A universal solvent has endless applications when properly controlled. When she is done, she steps back and considers her handiwork. So much of her plan depends on this piece being perfect. But what is perfection, really, if not the act of winning? So long as he can carry her to victory, he'll be perfect, no matter what his flaws. "You will rise against me, my beautiful boy," she says in a voice like honey and hemlock intertwined. "You will throw me down and swear you saw my bones. You will take my crown and my throne and carry my work into the new century. And you will never look back to see what follows in your wake. You will be my good right hand and my sinister left, and when you fall in finishing my design, you will die without complaint. You will do what I cannot, for your hand will never waver and your mind will never sway, and you will love me and you will hate me, and you will prove me right. Above all, you will prove me right." She puts down the bowl and picks up a vial, filled with liquid starlight, with mother of pearl that dances and shines against the glass. She raises it to his lips and pours a single drop between them. The man she has assembled out of the dead gasps, opens his eyes, and stares at her with fearful wonder. "Who are you?" he asks. "Asphodel," she says. "I am your teacher." "Who am I?" he asks. She smiles. "Your name is James," she says. "You are the beginning of my greatest work. Welcome. We have so much to do." He sits up, still staring at her. "But I don't know what the work is." "Don't worry." Her smile is the first brick in what she will one day call the improbable road. Today, in this moment, they are beginning their voyage to the impossible city. "I'll show you," she says, and the deed is done. It's too late to turn back now. And with that, I am going to call it a night. There is much more book here. Shana Maguire's Middlegame. Fantastic read. Highly recommend it. You can get it on our website. It's actually out in paperback now, I think, but I have the hardcover. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. Hope you're having a great night, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Bye.